Altoona Area School Board. I don't have a microphone on. There we go. This is the meeting of the Altoona Area School Board. The time is 7:25. It is August 20, 2018. Please stand for a moment of silence, followed by a pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We had an executive session for the purpose of personnel and real estate. And I think that's that, right? All right. Prior to this meeting. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Breen. Here. Mr. Brennan.
Here.
Mr. Segler.
Here.
Mr. Francis.
Here.
Mr. Hippo.
Here.
Mr. Hoover.
Here.
Mrs. Irwin Adams.
Here.
Mr. Johnston.
Here.
Mr. Cruz.
Here. Thank you, ma'am. We're going to go ahead and go into special presentations. Letter A is the Altoona Cyber Academy. Mr. McGinnis.
Mr. Brennan, if I could, just for a moment, wanted to take the moment to introduce our new student representative. The board's had an opportunity to meet her, but not everyone in this room has. We have Miss Zoe Wilson with us. She will serve as a student representative for this school year. She's a senior. She's a tennis player for the Lady Lion tennis team. And we're thrilled to have her. She's a great academic student, and I think you'll be very pleased. She's our student council president. She has been for the last 2 years, and we're really honored to have her with us this year. So I think you'll be enlightened by her reports that she has for this year. And while I have the mic, and before the end of the meeting, I just want to put a plug in. On Friday night, as you know, is our home opener game. It's against Hollidaysburg. We're thrilled to be playing Hollidaysburg this year, and to bring that game back. But one of the things we're doing that we're just now getting the communication out, because we just sort of solidified who will be in the parade this Friday. But we're going to start with a kickoff parade that will start at 7th Avenue, 15th Street, 5 p.m. And it will go from the parade route, will lead along 7th Avenue to 35th Street. It will turn left right in front of Frosty Cow and enter into the stadium from there. The units that we have involved this year will be the Altoona Area High School Marching Band, the cheerleaders, and Spartan cheerleaders, Hollidaysburg, and Altoona Junior High School Band, Hollidaysburg's band and their cheerleaders. We have 4 units from the Jackal Shrine that will be involved, Ham's Chargers, and Altoona Fire, Altoona Police, Logan Township Police, and of course our school district police. So we hope to see everybody out to the game. First 1,800 through the gate are going to get a free Altoona Collegesburg Rivalry T-shirt. Compliments of UPMC Altoona, Elite Orthopedics, and Concussion Management. So it's going to be a fun night, great atmosphere, and we hope to see everybody there. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. McGinnis. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. What you will see in front of you, you have packets in front of you. There are two different packets. One of them is labeled Altoona Cyber Academy Year-End Report. That's a little bit more of a detailed report. It kind of goes into depth of the overall success and things that we've been doing for our children over the course of this year as well as the last 7 years. The other packet of information, though, is the highlighted pages of where we were at, where we currently are, and then where we're going for the beginning of this school year. So that's kind of where I'm going to draw my attention to, is that packet of information to kind of go over with you, and then certainly answer any questions that you may have from me as we move forward. This program, over the last 7 going on 8 years, has been one of the most successful programs that we've had here at the high school, with the support of you all, with the support of our superintendent, central admin team, as well as my building principal, Mr. Neely. I've had the privilege of being on both sides of this game, first as a teacher in the program, and now as the administrator in charge of it. So I get the best of both worlds. And I've been able to see from all angles, the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads, but more importantly, the success that we have been able to keep children in our district thriving in their academics and ultimately graduating with an Altoona High School diploma. But it is because of a program like this. So first, where we were in the 17-18 school year, we started with 24 returning children into the cyber program. And that has been increasing each year. Initially, we were at 18 the year prior to that. The year prior to that, we were at 18, and the year prior to that, we were at 16. So we are growing from year to year. This year, and I'll get to that in a moment, we're starting with a number much higher. So the program is growing, it's rapidly growing, the interest is growing, but more importantly, our children are succeeding. Last year, by October, we more than doubled our numbers. We went from 24 to 50 by October after the school year got started, up and running and rolling. And it was for a variety of reasons, whether it was medical conditions, any personal issues at home they were having. Some of our students were forced to do full-time jobs, so we were able to offer this as another alternative for them. So, I mean, the opportunities were endless on who could be involved. But the ultimate goal was just to keep them involved here in our district, and more importantly, at the high school with us. We utilized all available computers that we had and had to continue to order some more. Mr. Cossiter and his team from the tech department are phenomenal. When I call him and I say, hey, I need 5 computers yesterday, he gets them to me. So he works very diligently. His team works tirelessly to ensure that this program is running. And he, behind the scenes, really helps me with the technology side of things and making sure we're providing the best for our kids. During the 17-18 school year, you will hear me oftentimes say that we saved X amount of dollars. And what do I mean by that is that we potentially saved that money. That was money that we didn't have to spend because of being able to offer this type of program. Had we not been able to offer this program, our kids, our students, our children would have went somewhere else, and we would have had to spend that money. So if you see in here that I'm saying we're saving money, that's why we're saving that money. Because we're not having to spend money for them to go somewhere else. We have a program here in-house. So because of that, over the 17-18 school year, we were able to recoup or save over or just about at $300,000. So that was a huge win for us. And that started in July with the recruitment and went the whole way through the year. We had 24 of 28 seniors graduate. We will invite 18 of 22 juniors and 8 of 12 sophomores returning back to our cyber program. Those who are not returning are coming back into the building, so they're not leaving our district. They wanted to come back, they wanted to be back in with their friends, they wanted to be back in with their teachers. And that's ultimately one of the successful things about our program is the transition of going from a digital learning environment to coming back into the brick and mortar setting. So that was a success for us. The following page is just a brief breakdown of the overall numbers that we look at and where our potential savings can be, and then the expenditures that we have with equipment, staff, and those kinds of things. So over the course of that year, when it's all said and done, I think we had roughly about 68 that had completed it. We were roughly at 75 at one point. Some of those came back in the very last marking period of their senior year because they wanted to finish it with their friends. But when we finished, it was at 68, and that's the number, 62, and that's the number that we went off of. And we were just able to save roughly under $400,000. And again, that's potentially saved, you know, given that there's a high likelihood that if we didn't offer this program, we would lose these children. They would go elsewhere. And anytime, I know I've had numerous meetings already, and parents love the fact that we can offer this and keep them in the district. So that's been a cost savings as well as a huge benefit with the community and the parents to keep their children here. Where we were at in the month of July, Mr. Hatch worked very diligently and sent out over 175 letters to children in grades 7 to 12 to let them know that we have a cyber program and we want to welcome them back. Out of that, the high school has been able to get back 7 of those kids so far, and we're still growing each day. We're moving rapidly. As of this morning, I got 3 more. So we're at 10 this morning, and I have 3 more meetings set up next week. And I know as of this morning, our junior high school was at 11. I have in here 2, but they quickly grew very rapidly, so they're already at 11 because of the expansion into the junior high school. So we're growing at a rapid rate because of the success that we are having, but more importantly, we want to keep these kids here so they know they're still part of our family, they're still with us. We will total beginning this year, we will start with 36 kids. That's the most that I've ever started with. And that's a huge credit to our teachers who do a phenomenal job on the front lines every day. The support that you all give me, the support from Mr. Neely and certainly the administrative team. But we're doing great things in this because we're all helping these children together. And that's the most important piece. By doing that already, without going any further, we're saving just shy of $300,000 without even adding any more numbers. So we're already even at where we were at last year in terms of just the number of kids. Currently this year, again, we have 36 coming, 10 of those were from other places. So they're coming back to us. They want to be here with us. September 5th, we will be holding our orientation / meet the teacher night, where they will come in, they'll get their equipment, and we'll give them the nuts and bolts of the program, get them set up, and the teachers will be there. They'll get to meet them, they'll get to talk to them, they'll get to interact with them. So we kind of have a nice little event scheduled for them on September the 5th, and that begins at 3:30. We will continue to utilize Apex, which is our online platform, and work through some of those challenges and obstacles, but we're getting better. And at the end of the day, our kids are still succeeding, so that's the most important thing. And we're excited about where we're going. With this year expanding into the junior high school, we're excited about that expansion. We're excited about reaching another group and another level of kids. You know, and I know that Mr. Kimmel, Mr. Keeley over there have been working very well. We've all been working very well together to build this thing 7-12. So we like the direction that we're going. Certainly we couldn't do it without the support of you all. So I just kind of wanted to briefly go over and give you a brief snippet of everything that's out there. If you have any questions anytime, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. But again, thank you for your support. I appreciate it. I know our kids appreciate it more importantly because they're able to stay here and continue to be part of the family. And 24 of my seniors were able to get a diploma from Altoona High School this past year. So that's a huge success. So thank you all.
Jason, thank you. This would have been a great way to hold presentation, more so than a board presentation, because we're probably questions we like to ask, because we don't want to hold up the agenda. But there's a great presentation. I'll get together with you and have some questions on this, okay?
Okay, yes, sir.
Thanks.
I just have one quick
Yes, ma'am.
question. You said you sent out 125 letters. Is that how many students we have?
175,
Oh,
and that's how many students that we have based on our records that are enrolled in other cyber institutions, and that's from 7 to 12. So that's the number that we were trying to reach, as many as we could.
Good job.
Thank you.
Ms. Pincus, if I may, congratulations to you and your team for doing this. Over the past months and years, on our list of payments, when you see the money spent on cyber and charter school, it's just staggering. And board members have said in the past, if we could do it here, so congratulations, it's coming. You know, it's like, you know, let's us do it instead of them doing it. Let's bring it back home. So thank you once again for your team.
Sure, thanks for your support.
Thank you, sir. Great. This one is reading workshop. Ashley Hazlett, Lindsay Bumbarger, Lindsay Zerby.
Mr. President, if I may, these ladies are going to talk a little bit about our reading workshop model. They have done a tremendous job, and each of them we're expanding, and so that's why we have Ashley's actually from Learning Express. Lindsay Bumbarger, who will be second, is really going to speak about the success of our kindergarten program, and Lindsay Zerby will speak about our expansion to the secondary level. So we're really excited to have them this evening.
Hi, so I'll just start by introducing myself. My name is Ashley Hazlett. This is my 3rd year teaching in the district and 5 years teaching pre-K, and I'm at LEX teaching the full-day classroom. I had the privilege of attending the 2018 Teachers College Reading and Writing Workshop, and I also have the privilege of implementing those practices this year in my classroom. Studies show that 70% of students will learn to read no matter how you teach them. However, what about those other 30%? Of those 70%, of that 70% of students, very few will actually say that they enjoyed reading. When using Reading Workshop at the preschool and pre-K level, we're creating a culture of reading, a culture of joyful reading, and a culture of avid readers. Avid reading happens every single day. Students make plans for reading by choosing books for their Readers Workshop book bags. Avid readers talk to others about their books, supported by the Reading Workshop partner reading. And finally, avid readers have a purpose and an inspiration for reading. They love reading and they find joy in the books that they pick. So many people say to me, your students are only 4 years old, they can't read yet, this sounds silly. But I'm proud to say that Reading Workshop gives them the power to read. 4 and 5-year-olds may not necessarily enter my classroom conventionally reading at the beginning of the year, but they're exploring the books, they're reading the pictures, they're pointing out sight words, and they're creating their own stories, and they are readers. Reading Workshop levels the playing field for all the students in the class. Students that have been read to every single day at home and that may enter my classroom reading on a B level, as well as those students that don't have any experience with books and that have never explored a book outside of school. Reading Workshop also builds the confidence of readers at every skill level by showing them that they are indeed readers. The Reading Workshop will not only support all of the readers in every classroom, but it also supports a strong lesson structure that's developmentally appropriate for all preschool and pre-K kids. The workshop lesson format is the most developmentally appropriate format that I've seen for early childhood. It starts with a short mini lesson, followed by independent and partner work time. During this time, the teacher has mini conferences for individualizing the strategies used by each child. The lesson concludes with a sharing time or a celebration. It allows students to explore independently and with peers while also individualizing the skills and strategies being taught. By implementing Reading Workshop in the pre-K setting, we're creating a strong connection and bridging that gap between pre-K and kindergarten. Students are being exposed to the workshop format, the common language, and the expectations, but most importantly, students are becoming avid readers and building a love for reading. As Shauna Schwartz, one of the leaders and staff developers of TCWRP, was quoted saying, there's no greater right than the right to books and the right to read. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Bumbarger. I'm about to start my 9th year in the district, and the last 4 of those years have been at Baker, but I also had some time at Learning Express and the junior high with Mr. Hatch. So I've taught in public schools and in private institutions. I've had special ed positions and regular ed positions. I've taught from early intervention to junior high. And I'm proud to say that over those years and those experiences, I've remained a learner myself. Just since I began teaching, the discoveries that we have made in the field of education in terms of brain research and development, learning styles, exceptionalities, and the effects of trauma and poverty on our students, all of that, effective classroom management, and so much more have made teaching not only more difficult, but also it has given us better tools. The more we know, the better we can do. And I think that staying current on the latest research and best practices as they relate to reading is just simply a responsibility of a good teacher. Last summer, I had the privilege of going to the conference that Ashley went to this summer, and It was a week long, and at the time, I had a 6-year-old, a 3.5-year-old, and an almost 1-year-old. So that decision to leave them for a week was, if you're a parent, you know it wasn't taken lightly. But I did feel that it was necessary for me to go, and I was excited to be asked because I taught in a district in New York that implemented writing workshop, and so I was pretty excited to hear about the reading workshop end of things. The conference itself was kind of like a semester-long class being condensed into a week. It was very rigorous. We were up and leaving the hotel before 7, and we didn't get back till usually after 4, but I thought it was really powerful the time that happened after the conference when I was able to get together with the administrator that went with us and the literacy coach that went with us and the teacher that went from the high school, and we were able to kind of just get together and discuss comparing how the work is going to look in kindergarten and through the secondary level. And we were able to plan for how we're going to present this to our colleagues when we come back. And just some of those things that happened after the actual training was almost like professional development in itself. It was pretty mentally exhausting, somewhat overwhelming, but it was also extremely exciting because after that week I knew that this was going to be an amazing change for me, but also for my students. And so I began, as soon as I got back, I began to try to convince my 2 other teaching partners that they really wanted to do this with me. And so one of them is a veteran teacher of over 20 years, and she was very willing to jump in with me, and so I'm proud of her for that, because sometimes, it's hard to make changes. And we embarked on what has been one of the best years of my teaching career. The reading workshop, Ashley kind of explained that part. It combines explicit instruction and modeling with highly individualized and responsive feedback through those student conferences and small groups. And then students get choice of the books that they read that are on their level. And they also get lots of time to read and practice the skills that they've been taught. My students grew exponentially over the past school year as readers, but most importantly, they actually really loved books and reading. And they had meaningful discussions with each other. They took ownership of their learning in ways that I had never seen before. And these are 5 and 6-year-olds. These are kindergarten students. Reading time was exciting and joyful and almost celebratory. When a 6-year-old brings you a book and says, "Mrs. Baumgartner, the last time we met, you told me I needed to work on reading smoothly and reading with expression like the characters, and I think I really got it now. And they want to share that with you. And they remember those goals that you gave them. Or when you overhear partners comparing books with each other, and one says to the other, "I'm done with this book, and I really think you'd like it. Let me tell you about it." An assessment, a standardized assessment is not going to show that. But the standardized assessments that we did give at the end of the year did show a lot of growth. But it doesn't show everything. I especially loved how my lowest readers took charge of their reading just as much as my highest readers. And they saw personal progress. They took pride in their work. Our kindergartners at Baker finished the year 99% of the students reading on grade level, and 50% of those students were reading above or well above the end of the year benchmark for kindergarten students. One of the best things about my attendance at the conference was that learning did not stop when I came home from New York. My teammates and I worked tirelessly to bring the reading workshop model not only to our students, but to the kindergarten teaching team in the district. Not only did we engage in hours of discussion, self-reflection, analyzing our students and their reading progress, but we also planned and executed hours of trainings for other teachers, and will continue to do so over the next few years. So I really thank you for the opportunity to attend the conference, and I hope that you'll see the progress that the students make over the course of the next few years as they have this for multiple years. And I do want to say that a lot of the things that have happened in the school district over the past few years, there's been a lot of issues because we've had to make a lot of hard decisions as a school district. And it saddens me that the way that we have people talking on social media about our school district. And I just want to say that I'm extremely proud to be an Altoona school district teacher. And I'm extremely proud of the work that my colleagues do day in and day out. I'm proud of the opportunities that we offer in the school district, and I'm proud to say that my own children are and will attend Altoona Area School District from preschool through high school, but mostly I'm proud of the students. So let's continue to work to make them the priority.
How am I supposed to follow that up, people? Dears. Most of you don't know me. I'm Lindsay Zerby. I'm a 7th grade reading teacher at the junior high, and I'm on my 12th year of teaching, which makes me 25. That's amazing. You know, I was one of the lucky ones that went to New York City this year. And Lindsay is a friend in real life. And when she went last year, she said, "This is amazing. I feel completely different. I'm going to change the way that I teach, the way that I interact." And I was like, all right, Lance, like, you know, I believe you, and I trust her because she's my friend. And, you know, trust is you're going to hear that a lot tonight when I speak. So when Lori Mangan actually said, you know, we might be piloting this program, I like literally jumped on her and I was, please, please, please let me do this because I was tired. You know, I'm not going to lie, it is so tedious day in and day out. You get beaten down with the demands on teachers. And with Common Core now, like, we have to change everything. We have to change the way that our kids are thinking. It's a hard task. So when Lori said this might be coming, I you know, yes, take me. And then when Haley, she called me and asked if I would apply to go to New York City, I 100% jumped on that bandwagon. And then I was like, oh no. I was accepted within the first round of applicants, and I was like, I'm going to leave my children behind for a whole week, and I have twin girls, and I don't leave my babies ever. But Lindsay was right. I feel like a brand new teacher. I have this spark that it was gone for years and years and years. You know, I could talk about the program, how amazing it is. Kids, how many of you have teenagers or know a teenager or a teenager yourself? The thing, when you tell a teenager that they have to do something, they shut down. They shut down completely. And, you know, reading workshop, it allows students to have choice in what they're reading. They're exposed to different genres that maybe our curriculum doesn't offer them. It's amazing. And the cool thing about it is when I'm doing my small conferences with my students, I get to talk to them about their books. I don't have to say, you know what, the Common Core says that you can't say that, so you're wrong. This allows them to think outside of the box, and that's what we want for our students, to be innovative. And you know, obviously, Common Core is still there, and there are certain standards that the kids have to live by. They have to write a text-dependent analysis a certain way. They have to give evidence, absolutely. But the great thing about it is Reading Workshop does that. You know, I could talk about how much I love it till I'm blue in the face, but I'll just give you the technical layout of Reading Workshop, and I'll just go with it's called a unit of study, and it's, I'll just say deep character, you know, study of deep character. In each unit of study, there are 3 bends. Each of these bends focuses on a state standard, and within those standards, there are 8 to 10 mini lessons that we focus on throughout the day, and those 8 to 10 mini lessons are the eligible content that we test our children on. So not only, and this goes through every unit of study that we have and that our district has purchased, so we're hitting every single thing that we need to address, and we're still doing text-dependent analysis and the evidence within this program. And also the great thing about this workshop is it gives the teachers adequate tools to use. It's no longer a guessing game. We're not going on the internet and, you know, and just reading and, you know, hey, what are you doing in your classroom? This is tried and true research from, you know, Lucy Calkins and Mary Aaronworth that wrote this program, and a number of other researchers that were involved in this program. It works. And, you know, we have the numbers to show that it works. You know, what I'm trusting you is when we implement this, you can't fix literacy overnight. It is, you know, it takes time, it takes patience. So, you know, when we implement this program, we intend to do it with fidelity and integrity, and we want our students to succeed. And I trust that you guys, you're all elected officials because you want the same for our students. You know, and we're going to work tirelessly to make sure that we do the data, we get to know our children, and you know, and I just think it's such a really cool thing. When I told my students last year that I was going to do this year with them, they're like, "Oh, can we stay in 7th grade?" And I was like, "Well, are you going to stay in 7th grade?" I don't think so. But you know, and the thing, aside from hitting the standards in the mini lessons, you know, Reader's Workshop, it really teaches students how to collaborate, which is key. We can't send our kids out into the workforce not knowing how to communicate with adults. You know, they're gonna sing, and they're gonna communicate with adults, each other. You know, it allows them to become independent thinkers and problem solvers, which I have seen we're lacking. Our kids, I love them, but sometimes they're so used to perfection. They're like, is this right? They can't think for themselves. And, you know, and I see that, not all of them, but, you know, a lot of my students do struggle with that. This gives them the opportunity to think, to be independent. You know, so all of these skills that I'm talking about, it's essential for our students' academic and professional growth when we send them out into the workforce when they graduate from our district. You know, it's not only important just when they leave our classrooms for the day, but for the week, the year, the month, their lives. So, you know, this program, when we follow through with fidelity, it's going to give them that gift of literacy. And, you know, I think there is nothing greater in life. So, you know, if you just give us time and allow this program to work, you'll see that we're going to make leaps and bounds with our kids. Okay, thank you.
I would like to say a few words, especially to the 3 teachers that are here. I do appreciate what you do, I really do. And at the last meeting, I made a comment. Now, what hit me out to the mirror was Green says sending teachers for training was needless. That is not what I said. What I said is, I don't think we need to send 7 teachers to Columbia University in New York City, because I know for a fact they will send instructors to your district to do this training, because my nephew works there and that's what he does. So that was my statement. It was not that your training is needless. I don't feel that way at all. I feel if we train the teachers, we're educating the students, we're helping the students. And 2 of you have mentioned you had small children, and it would have probably been easier for you to come right here and do the training instead of having to travel to New York City for a week to have that done and leave your family. And I've been bringing up in previous meetings that we need to do more webinars. We need to find better ways to do some of this training, because we are up against an $88 million bill here for a school that we're building, and we have to be careful of the money that we spend. And I also brought up, and this I will apologize for because I probably did not make it clear, I was not referring to your trip as partying. What I was referring to was Pennsylvania School Board Association. It's always a fun time. I talked to Dick Lockard many times, and he was saying how fun that trip was. You should go. Now, I don't know if anyone's aware, but Dick went to PSBA last year in October, knowing that he wasn't even going to be on the school board. And to me, that was a waste of money. And that's the partying I'm referring to. I am not saying that you folks were up there partying. I'm sure you went for the good of the students, because as you say, you had to leave small children behind, and I'm sure you take that very seriously. And again, that partying comment was not directed to you at all. And thank you for what you do for us.
Thank you.
Well, girls, I would say, I like to read. I just got done reading PT 109, John F. Kennedy. I couldn't put it down. Excellent book. Do you prefer reading the tablet or having the book in your hands?
I like the book.
You like the book? I'm a book guy. You know, I know some teachers. You know, my wife's a teacher. She likes the tablet. I like the book.
I like the book, yeah.
Okay.
And I did want to say, if anybody is interested in seeing the workshop in action, I taught kindergarten last year, but I'm moving up with this class because it's a large class. So, but we had almost all the kindergarten teachers in our district. In my room, and Debbie and Bree's room last year, and many administrators.
How many?
So the kids love to show off their reading. So if anybody at my room, my door is always open. If you're interested in coming and seeing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to add, once again, we've had a lot of talk about webinars and how they're useful. In this situation, ladies, when you went, was it a collaborative process with hands-on and working with many different people from many different districts?
Actually, I was in we had small groups in the morning, and I sat with a teacher from Sudan, well, 2 women from Sudan, and there were teachers from all over the world there, and just to hear their stories. And you know, every day we had work that we had to do, and we had to be prepared for the next day. So it was really, really neat to hear their stories. And know, and
I
So
thought,
the
and also,
collaboration,
there
the
were
collaboration
teachers.
made a difference.
Yeah.
it did. It was eye-opening, I guess. It was refreshing, and it was a beautiful opportunity to have as an educator. And I'm
Can I
really
add
grateful that I
one more
am.
thing? One of the biggest complaints I got as a school board member over the past 6 days was Ms. Breen's comment about partying. We're not giving these people a chance to party. I got people asking why I didn't stick up for anybody. That's not what we do. We're not going on this just to go out and have a mini vacation. We're going to get better at our jobs and bring that back to the district, our students, the administration, and help out. I'm glad Ms. Breen apologized and specified what it was, but I want you to know I appreciate what you do. I know many members of this board did and also do. So keep doing what you're doing, and I look forward to seeing the raw results that you guys produce from this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. King wants to, he also went to a training this summer, is doing Python. And our efforts to enhance our STEAM initiatives in the high school and our robotics, Mr. King is going to show you. Just if you'll take a moment to go.
Yeah, I'll make this pretty
Python.
quick. My name's Chris King. I teach in the business department at the high school. I've been here 13, this will be my 13th year, but I've had 11 years of programming for the kids, because in Pennsylvania, being business certified is business, computer, and information technology. That was a change. So what that's been well, up until a few years ago, was AP Computer Science A, and then Intro to Computer Science Java, which helps the kids transition to the AP, which has been good. But 5 or 6 years ago, the scheme, the STEM Academy, the big talk was coming and potentially getting a building, and that kind of fell through. But I saw opportunity there, and I collaborated with an art teacher, Ron Bowser, and Mrs. Burlingame, and we put together a video game math course about 4 years ago. Got that approved. It's been going on, and it's been pretty successful for the kids as well. So they enjoy that. But so I kind of got wind. I have a friend who works in Cambria County. He's the principal at Westmont, and he got Carnegie Mellon University is starting a big CS Academy push nationwide, and actually just started with Cambria County last year. So the pilot year, they started with a couple of Cambria County schools in South Bend. And thanks to Tom, I got wind of it, emailed him right away, and kind of got it, in the works. Mr. Neely, Mr. Hatch, Mr. Cowler, we kind of put things, even Mr. Coster was involved in a very exciting kind of opportunity here. If you don't know anything about Carnegie Mellon, they're top notch in lots of things, but one of the world-class institutions in computer science. So they are starting this academy with cooperation with high schools, and they're starting with one course. It's a Python programming course, and so it'll be I actually have just a real brief. I know PowerPoints aren't too exciting here, but so it'll be a semester-long course here, and it'll be a business education offering just because the state requires it that way. But it's really intended to get the students excited about programming. It's more graphics-based. I actually have access to the pilot course last year. It'll be kind of a self-paced thing for them too, so it'll be kind of different. Me as a teacher, usually, hey, we're going to do, X, Y, and Z today. If you're done with this, hey, great, keep going. But helping kids out. This is more self-paced, and so it'll be a new thing. But Carnegie Mellon, the professors there, and along with some students, they kind of formatted it, built some exercises, build the lessons, and of course I'll add supplements and kind of help the kids through. If you don't know much about programming, you're basically giving a computer, robot, a toaster instructions on how to do something. So you have to kind of be logical when you're thinking, but you also need to know the syntax. Just like, in English, we start with a capital letter and then a period. You need to understand all that stuff. And with Java, it's been good. I've gotten some interest. I usually have 15 or so students in my AP class every year. 18 last year, I think I had 18 2 years ago, 13, I think I might have 15 or 16. But, you know, it's pretty rigorous, it's pretty intense, it's hard. And so this will kind of be more exciting maybe for the kids. They can kind of get maybe their confidence boosted a little bit more. Python isn't quite as intense. It's not as involved as Java is. These are, you know, programming languages that you run your Facebook and run different things on your phones. But so anyway, you know, I think it's an exciting thing to bring to our students. You know, and you know, it's really going that way. I don't have too many graphics here, but you know, there's a big STEM push, or STEAM. You know, we like STEAM here. I like STEAM because you certainly need the arts as well. But you know, a lot of the jobs here, you know, a couple sources I found, you know, really of all the STEM jobs that are out there, you know, there's quite a few, you know, in computing, and you know, and a lot of kids are missing out here because they're, you know, you're not, you know, 8% of these STEM students are computer science. So there's a huge opportunity lost there, and lots of jobs that are not being filled here. And this is kind of projection. Here we are here, but you can see it's continuing to grow. So, you know, they're not all going to be programmers, I understand that, but, you know, even as a business major in college, I had to take a programming class because it's important, you know, to kind of understand a little bit about what can be done when I'm communicating with my IT team, or, you know, going into engineering, I'm going to have to take programming. You know, there's a lot of things there, and the reason I put the PowerPoint together here, I really wanted to kind of show you, you know, what we kind of have here at the high school for now. You know, the high school, 10, 11, 12, of course, but, you know, this year, I'm hoping to run a course in the spring, but, you know, after this year, hoping to kind of offer it more in the fall, and again, it's more of a gateway course, more graphics-based, getting kids to put some games together and things, and then it'll transition them pretty well into the course that we already have here, computer science with Java. Java, there's a lot of similarities there between that and Python, so it should be a nice transition, but it's more intense. You create a variable as a storage, you know, compartment. In Python, you just create a variable called Bob. Bob can store anything, okay? But in Java, you need to say string Bob, okay? Well, string's only for a word, or int Bob, okay? We don't typically call it Bob, but we can call it anything we want. But, you know, and then maybe in 11th grade, you know, you get the AP Computer Science A, and that's actually, we've had partnership with Pitt for a long time, college and the high school. They can get Pitt credits currently. A lot of kids do that. It's like $235 for 3 credits. It's a steal. It's like 90% off. That sort of keeps our AP testing levels down a little bit, which is, you know, kind of sad on my part, but because that's kind of my validation at the end of the year. I like to see, like, how did my kids do on the test. You know, it's a great opportunity for them. So they're getting college credits here. And right now we have, you know, other things we're building up. We've hired some tech ed teachers for robotics. We've had, you know, Mr. Bortz here has taught engineering and physics for a long time. We have a lot of good teachers teaching other STEM things. Here's Mr. Bowser and I, our video and app course, but we don't have, you know, a whole lot here. Of course, we do, you know, they do have the CTC, but, you know, I know, you know, in a couple of years, we're going to have the new school. So the plan, I guess, for now is that, you know, 9th grade will be here. And the way Carnegie Mellon sees this is they see this as sort of the gateway to all the STEM kind of, you know, majors you see. You know, the students, they have to take a core class in English, math, science, but, you know, they have a couple periods to fill. So what do they choose to do with? Some go to the CTC and get certified. Others, you know, do other things they're interested in. Well, hopefully we can kind of create, you know, maybe it's sort of a computer science pathway, you know, and then we have this here, and then they can take the intro to comp sci with robotics. And Carnegie Mellon, they are planning to create a couple of new courses on their own as well, but they want us to have our courses here. Of course, we can still have our AP Computer Science A, but, you know, I'm just, you know, what do you say, spitting ideas here, but there's another AP course called AP Computer Science Principles. We currently don't have that as an offering here. You know, I'm the only kind of programming teacher in the building, but we could, you know, possibly get there. So And then Carnegie Mellon actually is planning to have sort of a capstone for the kids that get through this. They're going to actually have their own college course ready for them in a couple of years. So the kids would stay here, okay, but they would satellite with Carnegie Mellon. I mean, it's pretty cool that they get Pitt credits, to get Carnegie Mellon credits. That's pretty amazing. So they could, in a couple of years, they could potentially get 3 classes, 9 college credits being here, and which would be awesome. And it's not just computer science. Again, not everybody loves the code, and I believe I found that out pretty quickly. But again, if you are thinking, well, get to the next slide. Okay, so again, the way Carnegie Mellon has kind of talked to me about it is they see it sort of as the gateway for all of the STEM, kind of majors. So if you're going to do engineering, you're going to have to take programming in college. Okay, might as well get it here. If you're going to do business, you're going to have to take programming in college. Might as well, get your feet wet here, right? A lot of other things. So they could, kind of get with me, or but then who knows, where they go. But we have a lot of things. Robotics. As the kids are sort of just building their machines now, and like the code's kind of in them to run. But a lot of the robotics run on Python programming. So they could, we could maybe eventually, after they have an intro to robotics, maybe they could actually put their own code into the robots, which would be awesome. But they need to learn it. So that's my pitch. That's my thought. I do have a course kind of up here. I mean, it's kind of a self-paced thing. This is not going to be this is what they had last year, and it was just they're kind of tweaking it and things and seeing how they go here. But basically, it's broken down into 4 units intended for 9th graders that have a strong enough math kind of background that can kind of handle it, but they can kind of work through it on their own. So I can show you. They kind of go through a little.
Chris, we're going to save that for the committee of the whole.
No problem.
So that we can.
I'll get you my password and everything, but that's all.
So we really wanted to show you tonight the 2 pieces of literacy we have. We have that literacy with the reading workshop model, K-12, that we're really focusing on, really increasing our independent reading, as well as the literacy and with the programming language as well. And Chris and Dave Force have done a great job of going and getting that information and bringing it back to everyone. So we're really, really very pleased about that. So I really appreciate all of you coming tonight. So thank you.
It was a little bit hard for Mr. Hippo to hear. Is there any way we could get access to the presentation?
Sure, we can do that.
Or at least the material on it?
Absolutely, we can do that. And we'll also have that at the committee of the whole meeting in September. Okay.
Mr. Brandon, the course is offered for delivering as well. Plan for implementation is for the spring semester, so we can build capacity with our students and then go to population. Thank you.
Yeah, honestly, I think all this is great because, I mean, whenever I was here, we had some very, very minor programming classes, and I don't know what you guys are doing in AP now. Like back then, it was, what's that?
It's Java.
Right, it's Java, but I mean as far as like the tasks that you give kids. And it was like an assortment of things, but now it seems like we're fleshing out that area of the curriculum a little bit more, which is great for me because I know whenever I went into college, there's a whole lot of classes that I kind of went through, and I'm like, I wish I would have had more of this in high school. So this is good stuff.
Yeah. I get a few. I think I had 4 in my 8 out of 13. I taught both of Mr. Hippo's daughters.
Did you? Did you get that way?
I don't know. He got, how many did you say it was in here?
4 out of 13.
4 out of 13 kids, and he had both of your daughters.
That's pretty good. All right. So, is there anything else you guys need to add to your presentations? No?
I mean, I just mentioned mention about two things this evening. First, at your places, everyone got a Mission Impossible shirt, and if you could please join us in wearing those on the first day of school, which is August 27th, and show your support, we would very much appreciate it. It's a surprise, so we're not telling the rest of you. Sorry. But, if you could do that, that would be much appreciated. Also, last meeting, I put the wellness walk information down, so if you would like to log your miles, I can send that to everyone tomorrow. And also, if you would like a wellness shirt, you certainly are welcome to purchase one of those. And we will be doing a wellness walk to kick it off on September 9th. And that will be at Mansion Park at 6 o'clock. And honestly, it's going to be probably 30 minutes. We'll do a ceremonial walk. There'll be some games. Mr. Riccio, Mr. West are helping us with that. The band will be there. So it's just to kick it off so that everyone can join us. But I will send you the link tomorrow so that you can log your miles.
What's the date again?
It is September 9th. And we will be logging miles from September 4th through September 21st. And all of those miles will also go towards Dawn Morton's Foundation with the Alex Lemonade, the Million Mile Lemonade. We'll see good credit for that team as well. So she's our partner for that. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll move into hearing from citizens. Citizens need to state their name, their address. They have 5 minutes to speak. All right, go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mr. Lauder. I'm from Altoona here. I attended last week's meeting and picked up on a couple things. I went back. I was on vacation this past week, and I hopped on YouTube and I was watching some of the past school board meetings. And a couple things kind of really stuck out to me that taxpayer, it kind of shocked me. And I guess it was kind of start with you, Mr. Brennan. It's very, very, very obvious. In fact, Altoona Mirror calls it the Fab Five, so to say. Okay. Now we all know what those terms are for. But when there's certain people who ask questions on this board, and I'm going to refer to Mrs. Brim, and I wish these ladies had not left. Mrs. Brim was asking questions last week about frivolous spending. And as I seen you roll your eyes, and as a president of this board, I find that very offending as a taxpayer. Why? Because somebody actually shows an interest to find out if there is frivolous spending going on, when actually only to hear these ladies talk here today, and I'm like, wow, this is so exciting. And I can tell my son every year when I say, okay, how's your teachers? And he says, well, this one's good, this one here, and this one here, he's not so nice. These 3 ladies right here, they give us hope, okay? They give us hope. And you heard the one being re-energized. How can we do that amongst all of our teachers versus rolling our eyes to a question where somebody is asking legit questions? I want to know where my taxpayer money is being spent. So with that being said, comes down to accountability. And something else I noticed while watching videos, who actually holds this board accountable? Do you control this board?
Are you asking?
I am, yes, sir.
Okay, as far as, what do you mean?
Their actions, how they conduct themselves here during this.
There are laws regarding
I understand that, but
conduct ourselves.
their actions on this board,
Right.
you control their actions.
Right.
So how come you let Mrs. Irwin Adams play on her phone right in front of you and Mr. Hippo all the time?
Mr. Lover,
I'm asking a question.
No,
Ask a
this
question.
is fine. I'm going to
I want answers to the question.
answer your question.
Okay.
Like, you'll see me sitting here on my computer. I'm looking things up.
If it's
before I'm
not
taking
obvious,
notes.
though, I mean, you can see it in the video, so I'm struggling with it. Okay, and this is the things that are going on, that we're allowing somebody who plays on their telephone to make financial decisions. There's your Fab Five.
Mr. Lover.
Okay, excuse me, I'm talking for a second.
Or what?
Are you really interested? Because you're subject to now, because you have brought your phone into this room, right to know. Whether you realize it or not, you actually have subject yourself to right to know when your phone is in your hand. The gentleman last week who talked and said that a majority vote should be 7-2 is very, 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 very right, because 7-2 represents taxpayers, a majority of the taxpayers, and that's what you board actually work for. And I think some of you have forgotten that. And I'm not going to mention any names, and if it hurts you, maybe that's one of the ones. So I would like to see some of these things get under control. As a taxpayer, not beat anybody from the school. School's a dead thing. It is what it is. But how can we allow somebody to vote who can't even pay attention?
All right, would anybody else like to speak? Okay, moving on to board reports. Superintendent report.
Well, I think you got a good idea of what we're doing with the reading workshop, where we're headed with the computer languages. That is really fantastic. When you think our students will be able to graduate with 9 credits in computer science, you can put on top of the graphic design and the other aspects of web design that we have, the school is going to be super. And thank Chris and the rest of the crew for their presentations. On Wednesday's the first day for teachers. The t-shirts will be unveiled on Wednesday. And our process, we've had a lot of strong successes in our academics in the past year, and it's how we make those next steps to ensure that we keep that moving forward. And I think it's going to be a great year, and so I'll end my report for today.
I don't have anything for this evening. Athletic Council, Phil, do you have anything?
First home football game this Friday. Golf that went 6-1 today. Shot at 327 overall. Girls tennis won today, 7-0. Utilizing the courts of the campus.
Thank you. Central Blair Park and Rec, do you have anything, Wayne? Okay. Education, Ms. Adams.
Just a couple things. Teacher induction was last week. The new teachers learned about the district curriculum and technology, met with their mentor teachers and the principals. Science teachers in grades 6 through 12 received training on new science textbooks. And aside from that, mostly everyone is just preparing for the start of the new school year. And we are going to have our next education meeting on September 17th at 5:15 before the committee of the whole meeting.
Facilities? Okay. IU8?
IU8, bottom line is I have a meeting on Thursday, so I'll report back to you then. I gave you the last one. Since we did this like a couple days ago, I haven't had a meeting.
Thank you. Outreach?
Oh, outreach. Okay, I was very, very, very glad. We had a meeting on Wednesday. We had representatives from the Altoona Police Department, representatives from Logan Township Police Department, representatives from the State Police Department. We had EMS. We also had our local police department. We also had a representative from behavioral health, as well as a representative from EMS services. It was a very, very, very productive meeting, and every individual involved, from the first responders, everyone who showed up said they would like to do this on a more frequent basis, and I totally agree with that. I was mentioning to them, I would like to do it quarterly. Mr. Brennan, thank you for showing up. And Mr. Pepper, you were awesome and your staff were great. They gave very valuable input as to what our safety and security needs are, what they think we need to do better, what we think we're doing better. And it was just nice to get first responders. Oh, we had a member of the Altoona Fire Department as well. And they called me after and thanked us very much for involving them. And I think it's, you know what, here's the point. If we got to call them, it's too late. So I want to talk to them beforehand, not just after the fact if we need them. So once again, Mr. Priatel, thank you for coming, Dutch as well. Thank you very much, guys. It was a very productive meeting, and once again, I want to give a kudos to Bill and our local police department. You guys were invaluable, and the information you put out, I got kudos from the Altoona PD, Logan Township, and the state police. So thank you very much, guys. That was it.
PSPA.
Yes, there's a PSPA Roundup Conference in October in Hershey. You can see this online. We pay a fee to PSPA. Last year, I stayed home and I watched it on my iPad, the seminars and the speakers, and Miss Bremer's spot on about you know who.
Yeah.
And it's spot on. So it's we can all watch it online. That's all I have. Thank you.
Policy.
Oh, we were supposed to have a policy meeting on Thursday at 6. So I just got back from vacation. So so fill me in on this.
It's August 23rd, which is this Thursday, 6 p.m. in the boardroom. Policy committee members have the policies sitting at their spaces this evening. If anyone wants a copy of them as well, we'll have them at the meeting.
So it's going to be this Thursday
Yes.
at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay, folks, I've been on this policy committee since I've been on the board, and we always had it at 10 o'clock in the morning, an hour, and board members, in fact, I'm the only board member there. So we're going to have them at 6 o'clock, and if you can make it, great. We're over some issues, but I was approached by board members, I can't make it, I go to work, so we moved it till 6 o'clock to be more convenient for the board members. Okay, thank you.
Ron, just FYI, it conflicts with Meet the Teacher Night at the junior high, so I would like to start coming to them, but I won't be there this week.
Okay. Now what I did was, we had one every month. Before I go on, there was a lapse. I'd like to have one every month. I took the summer off, and Mrs. Foreman requested we had one in August before school, so I met with Mrs. Foreman, and we come up with this date, not knowing that it was, parent teachers night. But if you can make it, if not,
That's fine. I did have it on my calendar for 10 o'clock, but I got the change to the email, so.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. Public library, have nothing this evening. Technology, do you have anything, Wayne?
Our meeting was still scheduled for the 27th.
What time is that?
What time is it?
27, 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, I believe, for the rating.
All right.
Wait, 27th of August or September?
September.
Okay.
We normally don't meet in the first September.
I just wanted to confirm.
Do you have anything else to add?
Okay, moving on to our student representative, Ms. Wilson.
Okay, to begin, last Thursday evening was the annual Meet the Lions event at Mansion Park and effectively kicked off the fall sports seasons. All four fall sports athletes, as well as members of the band front, Lioneers, and cheerleading teams were recognized. As of today, the girls' tennis and golf seasons have begun, and boys and girls soccer and cross country will begin this week, although practices did start August 13th. Additionally, Meet the Teacher Night will be held at AAHS on Wednesday evening, August 22nd. This Friday, August 24th, is the first of 6 home football games. The opponent is Hollidaysburg, and on this night, the AAHS marching band will be debuting their halftime show. It's called Big Band Jazz this year. As we all probably know, the first day of school is this Monday, August 27th, and beginning this year, new classes will be offered in the Technology Education Department and Business Education Department. As Mr. King somewhat stated, I'm personally very excited to see the entrepreneurship and the robotics classes implemented, and some of my friends will be in them. It's been announced that the Altoona Area High School Drama Club will be performing Arthur Miller's The Crucible this fall, as well as Little Shop of Horrors this spring.
just coming off a record-breaking year at the AASD Awards. And overall, as a member of the student body, I can say that we're very excited for this school year.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move on to consent agenda items. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Ziegler. Okay, item A, list of payments. Comments, questions?
I have some questions. Check number 104854, to Link Computer Corporation for SmartNet, $15,887. What is that for?
That's those are annual licensing on our infrastructure pieces, switches, routers, that sort of thing. That's what is part of the licensing to keep the warranty up on those for repairs and so forth.
So it's a repair contract?
Basically, it's a repair contract from Cisco.
And then what is WMware renewal? That's for $6,094.
That's probably that might be VMware. That's virtual server software. That's the licensing for what takes our physical server boxes and allows us to create numerous servers on a single box. That's called virtual servers. So VMware is what we use to do that. So that's the licensing for that software.
We pay that every year.
That one might have been for 2 years. I'd have to go back and look.
Okay, doesn't say. I have a question on Keystone Purchasing Network. Is that similar to CoStars? Is that all the same thing?
It is. It's a cooperative purchasing.
Okay, my concern there is this VERTIVE operating company, $19,849. When we were looking at this sign down here, the CoStars, these kind of purchasing agreements were twice as much money as the sign that we bought. It concerns me that we're not putting this out for bid and we're just saying, oh, it's CoStars, it's Keystone. You know, we can get it, we're not getting the best price. That is what concerns me.
I have compared on all of them, but some of the pricing, especially on paper here, is very competitive with Staples, WB Mason, those kind of vendors, which is the Keystone Purchasing Network is run by the local IU, and it's through the IU. So it's a little bit more competitive with their bidding process.
So you are actually getting other prices.
We have to commit to this network months in advance, so the purchasing can't be locked in. So what we get today from them cannot be compared, but I compare the end result and the end result.
That just concerns me with the high pricing that they have out there, that we shouldn't just rely on them. The athletic fund, check 104914915. Set up money for football tickets, $4,000. I don't quite understand that. We're selling the tickets, so wouldn't we just need enough money for change?
That's the startup money that we use for football season, all our seasons, that we use in our ticket booths for all of our contests to make change when somebody comes up to the ticket window. So Friday night, that $4,000 will be distributed between 5 different ticket windows as startup change when a fan comes up to buy a ticket. That money is just, it's out of the account, but it's in our office in the safe, and then we put it back in.
I understand that it's sort of like a petty cash.
Yes.
But do you need $4,000?
Yeah, we really do.
Somebody's giving you money and you're giving them change.
Well, remember, we have
Accumulating.
5 ticket windows open. So you divide that up, yeah, you need that much, because you run out of change during the course of the night. There's been times we ran the sheets to get change, over the band parents get change. Yeah, you try to keep as many 5s and 1s on hands as you can.
We do reconcile and it is replenished every year. Junior high also, you'll see
checks for the junior high startup money as well. They do it for their sports, and we do account for it every year, sometimes at the end of the season.
I believe you,
sometimes at the end of the year.
that's not my point, it just seems like a large sum of money for just change. Check number 104981. Sun Saves LLC managed service for $4,200.
Synesis, is that the, or
That's-
Synesis?
Synesis is our fiber lease.
That
And
is-
we actually get an 80% discount back on that at the end of the year.
What is it for?
That's our lease for the fiber around the city. Connects all of our buildings network.
Fiber optic?
Yes,
That one.
yes. And like I said, we actually get 80% of that money back at the end of the year.
80% of the 4,200 you get back.
Yeah.
And who gives you that back?
That's through the E-rate program through the federal government.
So you get the money back from the federal government, not from this company.
No.
And I believe at the last meeting, I brought up about these real estate taxes and per capita taxes that we're refunding. Now, this report doesn't have as many, but it still has a few on here. Why are we refunding that?
What the tax office instructed us is a lot of times when people are refinancing their homes or selling or trading property, they end up double paying their taxes. They don't realize that the amounts have been escrowed and paid in advance through real estate closings. So like this 2017 real estate tax refund was actually double paid via the escrow company and the people going into the tax office to pay themselves.
Now, on the last report, we had about half a page of these. This one, there's only a few. So you're saying all of those were overpaid?
Well, there's different scenarios to each and every one of them, but yes, there are overpayments that were repaying, duplicate payments, overpayments. Some people have gone through tax assessments, so they get their refunds back based on the assessment.
And some of them had also filed amended returns, and when with the amendment, there was a refund due from, in point to last week. That was Kim's response. I was trying to get all. Yes, and I was trying to get all of the responses. There were several different questions, and I just ran out of time. I will get that out on Wednesday, all the answers to the questions.
Okay, per capita, I can sort of understand the real
There
estate
was also
tax.
some VP last time.
Yeah, there was like a page and a half of them. I mean, I don't remember ever seeing that before. Have we always had that?
We have, they normally weren't batched all together, so they would have been a few at a time.
I believe that's all I have then.
I have a question. I don't know if this is the right time, but it's for finance. Is it normal that it takes 2 months to cash a check? I had a lady contact me, she paid for the pay to play, and then she got a letter saying that she didn't pay, and her check still, it took 2 months. It was dated 6/1, it wasn't cashed till 7/30. Is that normal?
The delay in the beginning was because that check was for the registration fee for this year, so we couldn't deposit it till after the new fiscal year, which is July 1st. That's the initial part of those 30 days there.
And then it's normal we send her a letter that she didn't pay?
That I can check on, because I don't have that answer.
Okay.
I have one here on page 6. Mr. Early organizations. 104-882, concrete steps at Juniata. So who did that work on that?
RDS Construction.
Okay. And so how many steps was it? Offhand? How about 6?
I honestly don't know.
Okay, thank you.
It's a medium-sized flight of stairs. That's the one over by the playground.
Right, I think it's the one coming from around the front of the school and down.
Right.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Fire away.
Anyway, the only one I had was,
year of $25,000. That's a service agreement for the chillers over at the power plant?
Well, it's throughout the district, and they come through and they do a service, after the cooling season in the fall, drain the chillers, shut them down, do any repairs that are necessary, and then they come back and start all the chillers up in the springtime. Excuse me, and same thing, they go over the machines. I've got a proposal in here to,
That's
they had
not
a
even
fan
like-
motor.
That's not even like an insurance policy as far as service. If something breaks, you still have to pay to have it fixed. That's just the
Right.
service for going through the, but
Right.
that's for the whole district, not just the
That's
power
for the
plant.
whole district, that's for every unit in the place,
That makes
yeah.
a little difference, yeah.
And actually, it saved us a lot of money over the time that I've been here, because they do catch things when they're small problems before they become big problems.
Anyone else? All right, moving on to item B, financial reports. All right, item C, e-signature. Item D, programming with Python. E, reading workshop book choice. F, AMED service. G, designation of school safety coordinator. All right, all of those in favor of approving the consent agenda items, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We have nothing for old business, so moving on to new business. Item A is construction change orders. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr.
Can
Hoover.
I make a correction?
Oh, yes.
We do not have a price, the engineering/bill price for the grate beam. Cost of that beam will be approximately $50,000.
Okay, so that item would include the cost addition in there. So to use your, okay, thank you, Mr. Hoover. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Segler. Comments or questions?
On change order 14 with the steam system, will there be any problems with the air conditioning, heating, and water when school's in session? No.
Will there be?
Oh, yes, sir.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you. And,
Can I add one thing to that?
There are two things that are driving the maintaining of the steam situation. Part of it is the natural gas hookup, but it's the kitchen where we need to have the pressure to maintain, be able to run the kitchen, and also the pool. We put the pool off for a year, and because of that, we have to keep the steam changer and the steam heat running for the pool. That's the driver behind that change order.
Yes, and all that piping and steam equipment was in the way of getting the new equipment installed. Excuse me, so they had to reroute a bunch of that in order to get the new equipment in, so it's ready. We finally get our elevated gas service on, which right now they're telling us possibly the end of September, early October. October 15th is the normal start of the heating season, so we can't wait a time. So that date keeps getting bumped.
So we should be okay.
Yeah, you'll be okay, because we're still maintaining the steam throughout this year.
Okay, great.
Which that was originally supposed to go away this summer.
Okay,
And then that piping stuff would have been out of the way.
Okay.
So, I have a question on that. I'll stay with that one for now. Should KCBA not have known that we were gonna need a high-pressure line, gas line, ahead of time and set that up? Like, are they at all responsible for us not having a gas line already installed?
No, we've had several conversations with People's Natural Gas. We sent them the same information 5 different times in between their offices, and somebody wasn't getting it. I've got plumbing engineer make a direct call, drug me to People's Natural Gas twice now to explain what our needs are. They were looking for different values and ratios. That information's been provided again and again and again. For somewhere it's just not going, it wasn't going through the channels.
The concrete vaults that we're gonna fill over in the athletic field, that we approved $30,000 for. So I was at one of the meetings and I heard that it's gonna be 44 yards of concrete. Is that the correct amount of concrete?
That doesn't sound unreasonable. Those vaults are 7 by 10 by at least 7 foot deep roughly.
So that sounds right to me, because I did the math up before I come. So I need to have an explanation on this, because I bought over 100 yards of concrete last year myself, and you're not gonna use 4,500 pound concrete, you said, and I paid $145 a yard, so even at 44 yards, it only comes out to $6,300, so I'm kinda wondering how we come up to $30,000. That's $23,000 extra on just that one change order.
Okay. Our unit price, according to the contract, is $175 a yard for concrete.
Okay.
Okay, material labor. We not only filled those vaults, but we had to drill back through the concrete that we put in to get the shoring in, because the shoring.
Here, can you maybe take the mic? It's really hard without it. If you could just kind of start.
Okay, those vaults that we filled, we had shoring that wound up right in the middle of the vault. That's where we had to fill them because there was nothing there to hold the shoring. So what we had to do was fill those vaults and then drill down through the concrete we put in to get the shoring in. So that $30,000 price was more than just the concrete. That's the additional drilling. And that was an estimated price. It could come in less than that. They're doing that as time and material. We may very well come in under that, but at this point I don't know for sure.
So I brought this up last meeting, and I'm going to bring it to you again. I'll probably bring it up at every meeting. I'm hoping that Reynolds at some point is going to hold KCBA responsible for some of these change orders. They can't be all our fault, first of all. So I'm sure that some of it has to fall back on them. It was brought up that change orders, once we get out of the ground, will become less.
They should.
And my theory is, once we're out of the ground, if we have a change order and it isn't something that we asked for, then that shouldn't fall on us at all, is my opinion. Because I'd like you to explain to me how we're gonna have a change order that we're gonna pay for if we didn't ask for like an extra door or a window or something.
Okay, I can't answer that, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Also note that Reynolds, KCBA does not work for Reynolds. KCBA works for the district. We classify the change orders we see come through, whether they're unforeseen, architect, error, commission, order request. We classify those and then we'll turn them over to you guys. KCBA has been notified that they need to start attending the meeting so they can make their case for the items that they're responsible for.
So is it gonna be our responsibility to fight KCBA, not Reynolds?
That's my understanding. We don't have a contract with KCBA. The district does.
That you'll notify us, you'll tell us what, in your opinion, should be KCBA's.
Yes. Yes.
And then
We
we
will
have to handle that.
We will classify the change orders as we see, whether we feel that there are errors or omissions.
Okay. So, I could talk all night about these change orders but I don't want to tie everybody up. So I will talk to you or someone personally, and I'll bring that back at the next meeting.
Okay. I'll have to answer whatever I can.
I was under the impression that the job that Reynolds was doing for the district was holding everybody accountable.
Yes,
And it
ma'am.
wasn't you, it was the gentleman, when we set this all up. You know, we're there, we're on your side, we're holding everyone accountable, but it sounds like, oh, we're just gonna tell you what they did, it's your job now to fix it.
We don't have a contract with them. We have no contractual responsibility.
I wish they'd have told us that up front, because were we not told they were gonna hold everybody accountable?
We do point out what we
If
know.
I may, part of the process at this point is to get the building built. The other part is to find out what these change orders fall under. Once they fall into the categories, then we have the ability to deal with KCBA or whoever is responsible because we need to have all these change orders approved prior to them occurring, that puts us in a situation where, first of all, we need to estimate instead of having a concrete number. So there are times when you will get a number. I can tell you right now, the price on those vaults was $25,000. I added $5,000 on because I wasn't sure what the price was going to be. Okay, so there are times when the numbers you're approving are padded to ensure that we can cover the costs, because we don't. It's not like we're doing it after the fact where there's a change order, the repair is made, time and material, and somebody can just say, well, it was 8 hours of labor and it was so many $1,000s of material. But in the end, that's what Gary's actually doing when it comes to the change order. When they're executing that change order, he's basically going through and doing the auditing to make sure, okay, how many hours did you spend on this? And likewise, the engineers calculate through it, and then the whole process takes place. There will be a reconciliation of some kind, depending on the severity of the change orders and the costs, that should come back, and we will have a choice of an option as to whether we pursue KCBA if we find them to be culpable. But that's a process. That's the final step, or next to final step in the process. Right now, we're dealing with issues of making sure we keep the construction moving forward on the building.
And we do disagree and make our case with the architect, and we feel that he's wrong. I mean, we do fight that battle for you. Okay, again, Reynolds works for the school district, not for KCBA, not for the contractors. I've done 3 projects at my home school district over the last 20 years in the district that I am a taxpayer for, and I don't do anything different then than what I do now.
I'm not saying you, but the gentleman that came in and sold this to us told us he was gonna be on top of things, it was gonna save us money, and now what I'm hearing is, oh, we're just gonna pay, and when we get to the end, oh, if maybe we think you're right, then you can take them to court, which is gonna cost us again. We're gonna pay. And that's, to my understanding, not what we were sold. That's.
Right, we paid $1.6 million, and now, at the end, if we have to fight KCBA, we're gonna be paying our attorneys again to fight KCBA, so I was misled also on that.
And all the bills at that point are gonna be paid, and I don't know, I've always been told possession's 9/10 of the law. They've got their money, why are they gonna listen to us?
The other thing on change orders, I would like a number change order and a running order. Like we have some here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we started over. Is it able that we could just start from 1 and go clear up through so that we can keep track of them?
And I think you have the total of change orders to the state, Ed?
I think I'm pretty close, but now I think with that being, we're at 589,000.
A lot of change orders.
It's pretty close. It should be around 1.6 million in the contingency fund.
Right, but it's still, I have to laugh when people say that you have that in contingency fund, because it's still our money. If we don't spend that money, we get it back.
Yes.
Which we could use for something else. So I mean, I know it sounds good, but it's still the taxpayers' money.
Okay. But you're not.
I know we're not any more in the hole than we had planned.
You haven't exhausted your insurance policy.
I understand that, but it's still our money in the end. If we could save it, it's our money.
Very much so.
That has to be paid back, principal and interest.
Any other questions?
Yeah, how close do you think we are to getting to the end of these big change orders?
Not close enough yet. Again, once we get the footers in the ground, it's going to be the determining factor for the most part. We're getting close. The big one on the VA building with that across that electric bulb, that turned out life for the time it started out. We thought that there was 1 pier that was spanning that bulb. It turns there's 3 piers that bear on that. So that changed it drastically. And that, they're still wrapping up the final design, structural design on that. So this is an estimated number from the engineers. It's a plus or minus number. We don't expect it to go over. It could come in less. At this point, I just got that number around 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon. So, in the last week, as our footings have been getting shallower over on the new B building, we run into some better soil. And I do have 5 photographs of the surface soil that we're facing. You guys like to see them on the camera? Yeah, I'll get them back.
talk to breakout, can we get a running order from here on out?
Yeah, next one will be 15.
With a total, with a dollar amount total.
Gary, I like when you said about KCBA coming to the meetings. I think that's a fantastic idea where we can quiz them. When KCBA, he was at 2 different meetings, and it was brought up about change orders a year ago, year and a half ago, and he said less than 1%, and both of them were at a public meeting. That was KCBA's statement. But I would like to see them being more accountable, you know, for these student orders.
Those conversations have been had. I know that Mike Kelly was out of town this week, or tonight anyway. Bob was unavailable, but I would expect we would see one of them at least, more than likely probably Mike, or their local representative, Russ, Friesen, in the future.
Yeah, because I was opposed to him being paid up front, so like he got his money. Now, anyways, I can go on for half an hour, but you're doing a fantastic job. Thanks, Gary.
I'm doing my best. We're working with what I got.
They still have a question, and I don't expect an answer tonight. Can we find out how much KCBA charged us to evaluate the A building? I'd like to know what they charged us to tell us what needed done, because things are pretty simple to me. When you don't have heat in the locker room, you talk to the coaches, if you feel the heat run yourself, just put your hand on it, you'll know if it doesn't work. Same with the ductwork, doesn't fit between the drop ceiling and the second floor. Really, they couldn't move the drop ceiling out of the way and measure that area. So I'd like to know what they charged us to evaluate the A building in their $4.2 or $4.6 million. How much of that was to evaluate the A building? And Tower Engineering, whoever it was, KCBA.
Tower Engineering didn't evaluate the A building in that way.
Well, I was building it.
As was stated before, there's a balance between costs, and when you look at doing a complete engineering of an existing structure, when you look at that pipe system at the high school, we replaced the pipes, we replaced all the pipes for $1.6 million. We felt the pipes were in good condition. We found a problem. The problem cost us $300,000. But in comparison, still 1.3 to the good, because if we'd have had to replace every single pipe, it would have been 1.6.
But if they would have done an evaluation correctly, I don't think that would happen. We'd already known that we didn't have heat. And we would have known that the ductwork wouldn't fit where they said. That's just simple things that they meant, simple in my point. So I'd just like to know how much we paid them for their evaluation.
I will ask.
There was pipe testing performed. Again, they did take some sections. Mainly what they were checking was the copper. Doug's maintenance guys have been in and out of that system over the years, making repairs, changing valves, and none of the 3/4-inch lines were repaired at that time. That's where all the blockage has been, in the small 3/4 feet lines. So, I mean, multiple people have been there over years, many times, and this never surfaced until we started getting down to the final drops. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm just.
But if you're an engineer and you've evaluated buildings before, you'll know that all the sediment's gonna be at the final drops. So in my opinion, that's where I would start, and work my way back.
Okay, thanks. I have a response. I'm not an engineer. I don't disagree
Neither
with
am
you. I don't disagree with you,
I'm a common sense person.
but
So when's the next contractors meeting, sir?
week from Wednesday. Yes, we just have it last Wednesday.
Yeah, so.
All right? Did you see the photos? Anybody any questions on that? That's exactly what we're running into.
I have one other question along with that. So the Penelec line, are we dealing with that? Is that on any of these change orders tonight?
Yes, it should be.
Okay.
Yes.
So
That's change order 10 and 11.
have we come up with who's at fault on that?
Well, my understanding, Doug Edler was part of the conversation with the Finlake engineer along with Bill Fletcher, the electrical engineer. And this was never brought up that that line had to be made active. And this was pre-designed 18 months ago or so. So that's one little bit I know about it. Now, this change order is part of a bigger picture. Okay, this is only to get from the manhole on 13th Street around to the manhole on 6th Avenue to get the line out from underneath the footings of the building. And then there's a big plan, which has already been put in place and still under review to refeed as the CHP goes away, transformers go away, new transfer switches, so on and so forth. So that's still being evaluated, but this is just a part. This is part that needs done immediately.
Okay, but I was just trying to figure out, I mean, I know Doug, we were at a meeting and he talked kind of like in blah, 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 but my thing is, here again, KCBA or their engineers, was it any of their fault that they didn't call kind of like yourself and say, hey, listen, we know about this line, can you tell us about it? I mean, I think the ball got dropped somewhere and it's costing us a lot of money, which we would have to pay anyhow, because it's in the way, I understand that. But it's just a surprise at this point.
Yeah, and I can understand that.
That's fine.
I just wanted some clarification. Like, you guys reviewed the change orders, and we've heard several times that you've negotiated prices down. So essentially, you know about the change orders, and you can at least do some preemptive evaluation to say what's reasonable and what's not reasonable. So it's not like you're just letting everything pass through to us, right?
Just pushing paper, no. There are some credits floating around that we're still working on. And then for the change orders you guys see, there could be another 50 that never made it to you because we did get it corrected. We did work it out in the field. You don't see everything that comes through. I know that sounds hollow, but that's
No, that's fine. And the other thing I didn't know about until, I don't know, a week or so ago, I think it was, that apparently you guys have allowances built into the budget for things like additional concrete or additional steel or whatever.
yes, some of those are minimal. Like on the concrete, I believe we had 5 cubic yards.
Okay.
It was more about obtaining the parts per yard, is how that was specified. You know, so we can't use it for unit prices.
Okay. So how do you settle that? Like, at what point in time do you say, okay, it goes to that, or it goes to the contingency, contingency fund?
That changes from time to time. It depends on the situation and depends on people involved making that decision, which is above me.
Okay. So essentially every situation is different. Okay.
And that's, again, that's beyond me, so I don't get involved in that too much. I just verify that the time and material is as accurate as I can possibly verify, and that it's a fair price.
Right. I mean, I attended that one construction meeting, and you guys have a laundry list of stuff that you go through with different verifications as far as what's been handled, what hasn't been handled, and so forth. So
in the case of the unit prices or the allowances, that would be a decision between KCBA, my office, and we would probably involve the internet also.
Okay, so essentially you do this preemptive thing, then it comes to us, and through your evaluation, you say, well, maybe this shouldn't have been, and at that point in time, we have to argue it if that's the case.
Yeah, and just like with Ed talking about your contingency fund, we don't want to use up those allowances right away at the beginning of the job either. It's also money that we have to work with that's already in the budget in the project.
Right, like you've earmarked it for like other situations where you may or may not need a little more, a little less. So that's essentially.
Yeah, I mean, we do run some things through the allowances.
Right.
But we don't want to just use all the allowance up and everything after that's a change order because it just doesn't work that way.
Right, then you've taken away from whatever you earmarked it for. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
I'd just like to say, I'd like to thank you for, at the last construction meeting I was at, when it was done, the board members were asking if they had any questions. That's great, thank you.
We have no problem with that.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thanks, Gary.
All right. So construction change orders, I'm just going to call it as roll call vote.
Mr. Francis. Mr. Hippo.
Yes.
Mr. Hoover.
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Johnston.
No.
Mr. Cruz.
No.
Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
They're passed 5-4.
All right, next we'll be moving on to your personnel items. Do I have a motion for personnel items?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Would you like to second it, Mr. Hoover?
Second.
Thank you, sir. All right, comments, questions?
I just have a quick question. I noticed that we have.
Sir, could you put it in the conference?
I noticed that we have, what, 30 new teachers this year?
Yeah.
How many are local? How many are from Altoona? Do you have any idea? I'm not saying that every position should be filled by an Altoona person or a graduate of this school district or Bishop Guilford or wherever. But I'd like to see if there's a job available for our kids, that they stay here.
Well, what we do is if they are an Altoona resident or an Altoona graduate, they receive a first round interview. So they're part of the process and they have an equal footing and a chance to get a position. But we do hire the best candidate.
I'm not arguing, I'm just saying, if you have candidate A is a smidgen above candidate B, who is an Altoona resident, can you justify that person being hired over an Altoona? All I'm saying basically is, we should have our kids hired, and since if you are giving them a preference, I appreciate that, but I think we should look a little harder at our Altoona kids, that's all.
Well, to be quite honest with you, all competent employee, all competent candidates, because of the pool, we pretty much are hiring anyone who we feel is strong enough to do the job. It's not a situation where we have this surplus and we're sending a large number of teachers away. How many of our subs did we hire, Patty?
Wait, I'm going to tell you, I don't know that right off the top of my head, but certainly I can get you that number tomorrow.
But we had a large number of our subs who were hired.
I'll tell you who we had. We had a large number of student teachers that we trained at Pleasant Valley who were really well prepared, who were Penn State Altoona students. We did hire a lot of those students. Those were, I think, of those 5 elementary folks, I believe 4 were very strong. Weren't they all our kids, Matt? Yeah, they were all our students. So we did, but I can get you that number if you like, Mr. Francis.
It used to be back in the old days that we had, where the person was from, I don't know if you're not allowed to do it anymore, but maybe you can tell me that you're allowed to put their residence, but that would have kept tabs on everything. And yeah, I just think that, I'm not going to repeat, just be nice that our kids get hired, that's all.
There would be no problem. You can have their actual address, but I don't think it'd be an issue if they were made aware of it, to miss their city out of town, current town, if they were notified in advance.
Wouldn't it be on their resume where they graduated?
Well, yes, it would be. So it's also, if it was an issue of privacy or something like that, could be addressed in executive session instead of a public meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You know, Mr. Francis, if I could touch on that, I like that long-term local.
I have a question. This is for Phil, I think. What is the back gate attendant?
That's security that will be at the back gate at all the football games.
So it's security.
It's a security that we run through our office, yes.
I have another question. We approved one of these teachers at our last meeting, and she's on here again. I'm just wondering if there was some hiccup or if it just was an oversight. Number 2, under instructional,
hired her, I don't recall her being on there, she very well could have.
I mean, she was on last Monday, so
Yeah.
I double checked it just to make sure.
That would
but-
just be a W.
I wouldn't say that was an error.
Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know if there was a change
I
or.
was going to say, because she was at induction, so.
No, I just didn't know if there was a change or something, that's
No,
why I was
not at
bringing
all.
it to your attention, so.
No, and
okay.
she is a local person as well.
Any other questions? All right, say aye. Those opposed?
I'm gonna abstain from that vote.
Okay, so you abstain from all of personnel, or?
I abstain from this vote.
Okay. All right, Mr. Hoover abstains.
I'm abstaining because I know one of the people and I don't want to compromise that.
All right. Kathy, I'm sorry, I was just making sure. Kimmel, did you get that? Mr. Cruz?
Before we leave new business, I guess I have some questions. I don't know if that's why I asked it again.
Yeah, go ahead.
I talked to Phil earlier. Phil, I'd like to know if you could give me a copy of all of the sign advertisements we have and the contracts we have with them and how long they run. And if you're the only one in charge of that, I don't know.
Like I said, I use the business office,
Oh,
so
okay.
you would have that, we'd get it for you.
Okay. Another question is for Billy. Could we ask, and I don't know if they do this, but this was brought up to me. When you ask, someone comes to the door, ask them what they are here for, and maybe keep them outside the door instead of letting them in, because I was told that they're coming in and, they have to go somewhere else, and then they're all mad in front of some kids, and, you know what I mean, like they're in the wrong building anyhow, so if you just answer them outside the door, I don't know if that works or not, but then if they're mad outside and they're walking to another building.
That's a good point, Mr. Cruz. What I've tried to instruct our security greeters to do is when they're ringing the buzzer to come into any of our buildings, I ask them to ask what official business they have. And like you said or alluded to, sometimes they may be at the wrong building, they don't even know that.
Right.
So before they get in, we do try to tell them. However, when there is a large line and weather-related issues, we try to get people in depending, but I could definitely reiterate that to our greeters.
The only other thing, I don't know if this is a good time either, but I went with Doug and toured the Fur Beverage building, and it's just loaded with stuff that we don't use anymore. And he said it's hard to get rid of stuff that we have. It's just a process to get rid of stuff. So I don't know if there's a way that we can streamline, like he has cribs down there that can't be used. It's taking up, probably 100 square feet of space. We can't use them because they don't meet the standards anymore. And they can't just throw them out that easy. Is there a way we can streamline to get rid of some stuff that we don't use, or have a public sale? And I know you probably wouldn't make any money at a public sale. You'd probably make some of the people in the public happy that they could buy something from the school district.
We've done public sales, and you're right, we don't make any money on a public sale. At the same time, it's a manpower issue, but if Doug has an issue where we need to clear stuff out, we just need to have a conversation and put it together and get it out the door. Several times we've had issues like when we were cleaning out right and that kind of thing, I said, get a dumpster and just get it gone. If anything, I'm allergic to clutter as much as anybody else because it's space we need for stuff we need to do.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I went through there and there's some stuff that he agrees that we should just get rid of, but, you kind of have a process to get rid of it. That's it.
Thanks, Ed.
I have something under new business. We're on new business, right? Yeah. Okay. I have a question, first of all. Has the district applied for a waiver to allow our students to drink 1% and flavored milk? I had a conversation with Congressman G.T. Thompson last week. And for the sake of full disclosure, I work for a dairy farm, very large dairy farm. And in that conversation, he had told me that there is not allowed to be any fat in the milk that our students drink, that this happened several years ago. But they're working on it in Washington, and I guess Pennsylvania has agreed that you can file a waiver and at least bring 1% milk back to the students. Also, you can do your chocolate milk or your strawberry milk, but you have to file a waiver to get that done. And I just think with the children that we have, we're feeding them breakfast, we're feeding them lunch, and we're giving them chalk water for milk instead of something with something in there for them. And of course, the reason this was done is because they said that milk was causing obesity. Well, he tells me they have research that shows that milk does not cause obesity because there's natural sugar in there and it satisfies the student. And we have all of these children that, rely on us for their nutrition because they're not getting it at home. And they are in Washington working on bringing it up to 2% and whole milk. But right now, it's just the 1% milk, but you have to file a waiver, and he said it's not difficult at all.
I do know we have chocolate and strawberry, but I am not sure. Have we done the waiver, Susan? Because I would be for the waiver also. I mean, it's just a matter of.
There's 3 waivers that we do, and I honestly can't remember if milk is one of them. I know that we have 3 varieties of milk that we sell in each facility, and it might just be the non-fat milk that we do with our 3 meals. But I'll look into that and let you know at the September meeting. The waivers have to be in by the end of this month, so if it's not in, we'll file that.
Okay, because that would be good for the children.
Hey, I have a couple of things else to do if you're done.
I'm done.
Okay. Barfield and Reynolds on the permit fees, did they pay them or?
They pay.
Okay, so that's paid. I had a customer bring this into me, and it says it's no way mandatory, but sent home from the school asking for erasers, glue, tissues. Again, it says it's not mandatory. Really, we can spend $88 million on a school, but we're gonna ask parents to still supply school supplies. Is that even legal to do that? I mean,
I'm not sure the document you have in your hand, did that come from a building or did it come from a teacher?
I'll let you have it.
Okay.
The other question I have.
Because we're always accepting donations, don't get me wrong, and they're, so we've done that.
I mean, it says you're not obligated, but I would feel if I was a parent and I got that I should send something in. My other thing is it normal that we ask teachers to write curriculum? I know Patty sent out an email asking teachers to write curriculum. Is that normal, or is that your job to write the curriculum?
No, it's their job, and I oversee it, and I'll tell you why. It's because they're actually implementing it. So you just saw Chris King this a little earlier. He has been trained on that, so he's really the expert in that content. I oversee it, we have the format, I approve it, and then I bring it to you for approval. So, yes, I just asked if there were teachers, everything that has been written since I've been here has been done by teachers, K through 12.
Goes along with the people that went to the conference in New York, correct? When they come back, they train and set up how it's going to be implemented, correct?
Well, we work on the implementation together. However, the curriculum piece, we've decided not to change the writing for the reading workshop yet because those teachers that designed, that have written the PLA curriculum felt it was best to work it through it for an entire year prior to making changes to it so that they could keep the good things because it's new for them. So they've asked to keep that. But since I have been a teacher, I've written curriculum. So we've done that because they are the experts in everything we have, and we continue to do that. We had math teachers last year, we had science teachers in the spring. So that's how we do it.
You approve everything, correct?
Sure, Brad and I look through everything. Haley helps out as well. We use everyone's expertise. Dr. Fee also looks, as needed too. So, yes, we do approve it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to yes. Mr. President, real quick. I was in school today, I was picking up my packet, I was away for about 2 weeks. Ran into a couple teachers here in the B building. School starts with teachers on Wednesday, and there's teachers, I don't know who to talk to about this. They're in their room and there's no chair. Somebody took their chair. Somebody took their filing cabinet. Went rifling through their filing cabinets. You know, like, we don't know what to do. We don't have a chair. We have this old filing cabinet. We had everything organized, ready to go in June. So who do they go to?
They need to talk to Mr. Neely or their grade level principal to see what's happening there.
Talk to me after on, give me a name, I'll take care of it.
I've got a couple names for you.
Okay.
Okay, and, let's say school's starting, maybe have a little thing in the paper, watch out for buses, watch out for the kids walking, it's that time of year again. Okay, thank you.
All right, for information only, any comments or questions?
Are we about to end?
We're close.
I just want to say, go Mountain Lions, beat Hollidaysburg.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Motion.